I honestly don't know what I'm hoping to get from this post-closure validation. Maybe I just need to write it all out so I don't feel so crazy anymore. I 32M found out my wife 30F was cheating on me, and not just once, but multiple times with multiple guys. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We've been married for 6 years. No kids, though we tried for a while. She is a graphic designer and works freelance from home. I work in it mostly remote, too. From the outside, our life probably looks stable, normal even. We had a nice little house, decent income, a dog named Milo, and date nights every Friday. But things started to shift around late last year. Subtle things. She became distant emotionally, physically. Our conversations felt like obligations. If I touched her, she'd stiffen. She used to laugh at my dumb jokes. Now she'd barely crack a smile. But the biggest thing, her phone. She used to leave it lying around. No problem. Then suddenly, it was face down all the time. Locked tighter than Fort Knox. Notifications silenced. And she never let it out of her sight. I chalked it up to stress at first. She said work was picking up. Clients were demanding more. I believed her because why wouldn't he? I asked her about the phone thing once. She rolled her eyes and said, "God, are you turning into one of those paranoid husbands now? I just don't want to get distracted. That's all." She made me feel like I was the crazy one for noticing. In hindsight, that moment should be even the red flag. That snapped me out of denial. But I wasn't ready to see it. Yet, it started with a charger. No, really. A couple months ago, she left in a rush to meet a client downtown. I remember because she was unusually dressed up. Tight black dress makeup, done heels. I jokingly said, didn't he know? Graphic design meetings required stilettos. And she just smirked and said, "It's a fancy client networking, babe." You wouldn't understand. Anyway, she forgot her charger. Her phone was dying, and she texted me from her laptop, asking me to bring it to her downtown. I happened to be heading out anyway, so I grabbed the charger and headed her way. I got there and called her. No answer. I called again. Straight to voicemail. After 15 minutes of standing like an idiot near the coffee shop she'd sent the address for, I decided to drop it off at the front counter and text her that it was there. Then I saw her across the street, arm in arm with some dude, laughing. Cozy, and not in the way you laugh with a colleague. They stopped, and she kissed him on the mouth. Quick, but intimate. Familiar. I froze. She didn't TC me. They turned the corner, and I ducked behind a parked SUV like some cartoon character. My stomach dropped like I'd just missed a step going down the stairs. My hands were shaking. I didn't confront her that day. I wish I could say I stormed over and demanded answers, like in some dramatic movie, but I didn't. I went home, sat on the couch. Milo put his head on my lap, and I just stared at the wall for 2 hours. When she came home later that night, she was glowing, literally humming as she walked in the door. She saw me on the couch and said, "What's with the murder face?" I stared at her. She flopped down beside me and said, "You? This client is going to be a pain. Why do rich people have no boundaries?" She was lying to my face effortlessly. That moment broke something inside me. The next morning I decided to test the waters. Before I tried accusing her, I asked casually, "So how was the client? You were downtown for a while." She didn't miss a beat. Total nightmare. Super picky, kept changing everything last minute. Honestly, I deserve a damn bonus just for tolerating him. The way she said him made my blood boil. I wanted to scream, "I saw you kiss him." But I didn't. I just nodded and let her dig her own grave. Over the next few days, I started paying attention. Her lies were stacked like Jenga blocks. One night, she told me she was working late at a coworker's place. She even sent me a photo, her laptop open, coffee beside it, but something felt staged. I reverse image searched the coffee cup logo. It wasn't tea from any co-working space. It was a boutique hotel across town. I confronted her gently. "Hey, I was thinking of using that co-working space. You were at, what is it called?" She blinked, then smiled tightly. "Oh, it was just a pop-up event. Not a real space. They change locations a lot." Bullshit. The thing is, when someone lies to you, really lies, they don't fumble right away. She was good at it. She did twist the truth just enough to make me question my sanity. And when I pushed more, she snapped. "Why are you so obsessed with what I'm doing all the time? Do you have any idea how suffocating it is to be treated like a suspect in your own home?" She turned it around on me. Full gaslight mode. I actually apologized. I started doubting myself. Maybe I was overthinking. Maybe I misread the kiss. Maybe it was just a peck between close friends. Maybe I was losing it. She was spinning lies with such confidence that I started losing trust in my own gut. But deep down I knew. I started checking her phone when she showered. Not proud of it, but I was desperate for the truth. That is when I found him. I wish I could say Jason was a one-off. Some dumb fling, a lapse in judgment. But no, Jason was just the gateway drug. After finding those messages, I spent the next few nights doing what I never thought I'd do in my marriage. I started digging, full-on paranoia mode, searching through cloud backups, old emails, social media, DMS, anything I could get my hands on. And what I found, there were 3 other names. 3 Evan. A photographer friend she once mentioned in passing. Turns out she went on a weekend trip with him back in February, claiming it was a female entrepreneur retreat. Troy, her ex from college. Apparently, they reconnected last year during a work conference in Chicago. I found selfies from the hotel room. Same bed. Same smile she used to give me. Dan, the neighbor 2 doors down. The one who always offered to help her with her garden when I was working late. Each of them had their own flavor of betrayal. Sweet nicknames. Petty insults about me. Secret plans. Private jokes. Even a burner Instagram account where she followed only these men and posted sexy photos I never saw before. And Jason, wasn't he even the most recent? Dan was just last week. While I was homesick with a stomach bug, she apparently went for a walk to clear her head. Turns out she was clearing something else with Dan in the back seat of his truck. I remember just staring at the screen, reading her message to Dan. He is homesick, LO. So I've got 30 minutes if we keep it quick. I read it 10 times. My heart, didn't he just break it, snapped like a dry bone under a boot. This wasn't he a mistake. This wasn't he boredom. This wasn't he a lapse in judgment. This was a lifestyle. And I had been living with a stranger. Her phone was locked with Face ID. But lucky for me, or maybe unlucky, depending how you look at it. She once left it unlocked when she rushed to take a call in the other room. Notifications were off, but something told me to check her messages. I scrolled. Nothing weird in the usual places. Then I opened her WhatsApp. That's when I saw Jason. No heart emoji, no babe. No obvious signs, but the tone of the conversation. That was all I needed. Flirting. Teasing. Inside jokes I didn't understand. Mentions of last night, and you taste like coffee and sign vomit. And then there was a photo. Her in lingerie I had never seen before. Biting her lip and holding a glass of wine. Caption next time. No interruptions. I'm still sore, smirking face. I felt like my body left itself. Jason replied, "You're perfect." I could get used to this. You sure he is not suspicious or please? He is clueless. He thinks I'm stressed about work. My hands were shaking so hard, I almost dropped the phone. My effing wife, had not only been cheating, but mocking me for trusting her. I took a screenshot. Sent it to my email. Every instinct screamed, confront her right now. But something stopped me. I needed more. I needed to know just how deep the rabbit hole went. Because if there was one Jason, there could be more. I wish I could say Jason was a one-off, some dumb fling, a lapse in judgment. But no, Jason was just the gateway drug. After finding those messages, I spent the next few nights doing what I never thought I'd do in my marriage. I started digging. Full-on paranoia mode. Searching through cloud backups, old emails, social media, DMS. Anything I could get my hands on. And what I found, there were 3 other names. 3 Evan. A photographer friend she once mentioned in passing. Turns out she went on a weekend trip with him back in February, claiming it was a female entrepreneur retreat. Troy, her ex from college. Apparently, they reconnected last year during a work conference in Chicago. I found selfies from the hotel room. Same bed. Same smile she used to give me. Dan, the neighbor 2 doors down. The one who always offered to help her with her garden when I was working late. Each of them had their own flavor of betrayal. Sweet nicknames. Petty insults about me. Secret plans. Private jokes. Even a burner Instagram account where she followed only these men and post sexy photos I never saw before. And Jason, he wasn't even the most recent. Dan was just last week. While I was home sick with a stomach bug, she apparently went for a walk to clear her head. Turns out she was clearing something else with Dan in the back seat of his truck. I remember just staring at the screen, reading her message to Dan. He is homesick, LOL. So I've got 30 minutes if we keep it quick. I read it 10 times. My heart didn't just break, it snapped like a dry bone under a boot. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't boredom. This wasn't a lapse in judgment. This was a lifestyle. And I had been living with a stranger dog. I don't know how I made it through that week, pretending everything was normal. I'd wake up, pour her coffee, say love you, out of habit. Meanwhile, every time she looked at her phone, I wanted to grab it and smash it through the wall. Every time she smiled at a notification, I imagined whose DK was behind it. But I waited. I needed to see it catch her red-handed. I needed her lies to unravel in real time. I needed to watch her face when she realized I knew everything. So I set the trap. The upcoming Saturday, she told me, she was going to a branding workshop at some artsy co-op downtown. Said she'd be gone from 2 to 6. I played dumb. Told her I'd be running errands and maybe hitting the gym. She smiled, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "Don't wait up if I'm late. Might grab a drink with the girls after." "Sure you will." I waited exactly 15 minutes after she left, grabbed my keys and followed her. Not subtle, not proud, but necessary. She didn't go downtown. She went straight to a residential street I didn't recognize. Parked. Got out. Knocked on a door, and who answered? Jason. She hugged him like they hadn't just seen each other yesterday. Kissed him like they were in some effing Nicholas Sparks movie. Then they went inside. I waited. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. I parked across the street. Rage crawling under my skin like fire ants. My fingers drummed on the steering wheel. My breathing was shallow and loud in the silence of the car. Finally, I got out. I knocked. Jason opened the door shirtless, holding a beer. His face turned white before he could say a word. I said, "Tell my wife I'll be filing for divorce. You can keep her lies. They fit you." Then I walked away. Didn't he even look back? She called me 15 times that night. I didn't answer. By the time I got home, she had already started damage control. My phone was blowing up. Text after text, call after call. Voicemail after voicemail. The first one was confusion. The second was panic. By the fourth, she was in full OSHT mode. Voicemail 1, "Babe, what is going on? You left. Are you okay?" Voicemail 2, "I don't know what you think you saw, but it's not what it looked like. Please, can we talk?" Voicemail 3, "Okay, fine." I fed up, but it wasn't serious. Jason doesn't even matter. It was just a mistake. A stupid one-time mistake. Voicemail for the one that made me laugh in disbelief. If you loved me, you'd at least hear me out. I'm your wife for FS sake. If I loved her, I ignored every single call. I needed silence. I needed to breathe without choking on betrayal. She didn't come home that night. I guess Jason's couch was more comfortable than facing the disaster she created. The next morning I changed the locks. Petty, maybe, but I didn't care. Around noon she came storming up the front steps, banging on the door, screaming, "Open the effing door, my name." I opened the window instead and said calmly, "You don't live here anymore." She laughed like I was making a joke. "Don't be dramatic," she said. "We can talk this out, we always do." And right then I realized something. She didn't believe there would ever be consequences, because there never had been. She cried, begged, cursed, denied, blamed me, tried everything in the cheater's handbook. I didn't budge. I don't know if it was the locked door, the silence, or just her own unraveling nerves. But after 45 minutes of yelling on the porch, she finally broke. She sat down on the front step, defeated. Then she started talking. Not yelling, not manipulating, just spilling. She said Jason was different, that he listened, that he made her feel seen, whatever that means. Then she admitted he wasn't the first. There were others, she said. Not even making eye contact. I stayed behind the window screen like she was some animal in a zoo, watching, detached, I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of my pain. It started last year, she continued. At first, it was just flirting. DMS. It felt harmless. But then it didn't tea. She listed off names like she was confessing overdue library books. Evangelist Troy Dan. Jason. A couple she barely remembers. I asked her one thing through the glass. Why? Why do all this instead of just leaving me? She looked up with puffy eyes and said, because you were good to me. You were safe. And I didn't want to lose that. She said that with a straight face. I was good to her, so she kept me. And cheated behind my back to entertain herself. That was the moment I stopped grieving the marriage. That was the moment I realized I hadn't lost a wife. I'd lost an illusion. After her porch confession, she slunk off to wherever she was crashing, probably Jason's. I didn't ask, didn't care. The house was quiet for the first time in weeks. The kind of quiet that settles into your bones and feels like a sedative. That night, I wrote an email. Subject: I thought you should know. I sent it to her parents, her sister. A couple mutual friends. Nothing dramatic, just the facts. Hey, just wanted to let you know. Wife's name and I are separating. She has been having multiple affairs over the last year, at least 4 that I've confirmed, and I've decided I'm done. I want to go into detail. I'm not looking for a war, but I'm tired of protecting someone who has been lying to everyone, including herself. I'm not looking for sympathy, just honesty. Finally, reactions were mixed. Her sister responded immediately. Said she was so sorry that she had suspected something, especially after noticing how secretive my wife had become at family gatherings. Her mom silent. Her dad one line. If there is anything you need during this time, I'm here. Turns out everyone thought something was off, but no one wanted to get involved. I also told a few close friends. One of them, my best man from our wedding, said, "Man, I'm sorry, but you look more alive right now than you have in months." And he was right. There is something weirdly empowering about telling the truth, about no longer covering for someone who treated you like a placeholder while they lived their double life. She found out about the email. Oh boy, did she find out the storm hit fast. The next morning, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. 10 missed calls from her, 2 from her mom. 1 from a random number I didn't recognize. Probably Jason trying to be cute. Then the text started. Her WTF is wrong with you. You told my family, you psycho. That was private. You had no right. Private, really? I ignored her for most of the day. I had already blocked her on most platforms, but I left text open because I needed documentation for the divorce. Every message she sent was another nail in her own coffin. She showed up again that evening. This time she wasn't even crying. She was furious. Banged on the door like she was the one who'd been betrayed. You're trying to ruin my life. You just embarrassed me in front of my entire family. You think that makes you the good guy here? I opened the door just long enough to say, you ruined your own life. I just stopped covering for it. Then I shut it again. She screamed something about how nobody will ever want you after this, and how I was emotionally manipulative for exposing her. I honestly had to laugh. Manipulated me? I didn't cheat. I didn't gaslight. I didn't sneak around while someone loved me with their whole heart. But in her mind, she was the victim. Now the delusion was almost impressive. After the chaos settled, I was left with this huge, empty space where my marriage used to be. The silence was deafening, but in some twisted way, it was also freeing. For the first time in years, I wasn't he pretending anymore. No more pretending everything was okay when it wasn't he. No more lying to myself that she'd come around or that this was just a rough patch. I started therapy. It wasn't easy talking about my pain, my shame, my anger, but it was necessary. I learned that none of this was my fault. That betrayal isn't a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of the other person's choices. I leaned on friends. Some stuck around, some drifted. But the ones who stayed reminded me that I wasn't here alone. I threw myself into my passions running, cooking, gaming, and found pieces of myself I'd buried beneath the weight of the marriage. Milo, my dog, became my little anchor. No judgment, no secrets. Just unconditional love. It's a slow process. Some days I'm angry. Others I miss her so badly. It feels like a physical ache. But every day I'm a little stronger. Here is the thing nobody warned me about. Betrayal teaches you stuff you never wanted to learn. I used to think trust was just a given. That love automatically meant loyalty. That if you truly cared, you'd never hurt the person you vowed to protect. I was wrong. I learned that trust is fragile. That people you think you know can become strangers overnight. That love can be selfish, messy, and cruel. But I also learned something else, something powerful. I learned that I am enough. Not because she stayed, or because I fought for us, but because I survived. Because I looked the ugliness in the eye, he let it destroy me. I'm still learning to forgive not her, but myself for staying too long. For doubting myself, for letting her gaslight me. I'm learning that my worth, I send tea tied to someone else's actions. That I deserve honesty, respect, and peace. Maybe one day I'll love again. But for now, I'm okay being single, broken, and rebuilding. Because sometimes the best love story is the one you write with yourself. If you're reading this and you're stuck in the same nightmare I was, feeling like you're going crazy, questioning everything and drowning in doubt, here is what I want you to know. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't ignore the red flags because you want things to be okay. Your feelings are valid. Don't jump to conclusions. Evidence matters. Before you confront, try to have facts. But if you're gathering evidence, be safe emotionally and legally. Protect yourself emotionally. This is going to hurt a lot. Don't be afraid to seek therapy. Lean on friends or take space for yourself. Confront with care, not anger. When you're ready, talk honestly but calmly. It might not change anything, but you will gain clarity. You are not alone. So many people have been there, and you will get through it. You deserve honesty and respect. Never settle for less just because you're scared of being alone. Focus on healing betrayal wounds deep. Give yourself time and kindness to heal. I don't have all the answers, but I do know this. You're stronger than the pain you're feeling. And the end of a relationship is not the end of your story. So what now? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The road ahead looks long and rough. Divorce is messy emotionally and legally. There are things to untangle. Shared accounts, the dog. Custody, yes. Apparently dogs can become pawns. And memories that are stuck like broken glass in my heart. But I've made some decisions. No contact. I blocked her everywhere. No texts, no calls. No social media stalking. I'm done with the toxicity. Focusing on myself. Therapy continues. I am picking up hobbies I abandoned years ago. Running has become my therapy, literally pounding the anger and sadness out of my system. Setting boundaries. Family and friends have been helpful, but setting limits is key. I won't tolerate pity or unsolicited. You will find someone better. Pep talks. I'm healing in my own time. Financial independence. I'm sorting out our finances to make sure I'm not left scrambling later. Learn from my mistake. Don't be financially dependent on someone who doesn't. He have your back. Being open to the future. I'm not rushing to date or replace her, but I'm opening the door to the possibility that someday someone worthy might come along. This betrayal nearly broke me, but I'm choosing to be the guy who rebuilt himself from the ashes. Writing this has been like ripping a bandage off a wound that never fully healed. But I needed to get it out to remind myself I'm not alone and maybe help someone else who is drowning in doubt and pain. Here is what I want to leave you with. Cheating isn't about you. It's about the person who chose to betray trust. It's their failure, not yours. Sometimes love isn't enough. You can love someone deeply, but if they're not willing to be faithful, honest, and respectful, love alone won't save the relationship. Forgiveness is complicated. You might forgive one day, or you might never. Either way is okay. Healing is not linear. Some days you will feel strong, others weak. Be patient with yourself. Most importantly, never lose sight of your worth. You deserve better than lies and betrayal. If you're struggling right now, hold on. You will get through this. And on the other side, there is a life waiting, one where you can breathe freely and love fully again. Thanks for reading Reddit. Stay strong out there.